So the other day I was reminded of a video that I did, a video that I had almost forgotten, about a year ago, where I made a little overview chart of my favorite Pokemon of every type. I'm sure I've put a link to the video in the iCard in the top right, but I can also just magically make the chart appear in front of you right now. So this is the eventual chart that I ended up with at the end of that video. So yeah, I wouldn't really consider that one of my best videos ever. I was kind of all over the place during the making of that. Yeah, I made this video around a year ago maybe, I don't know. But it's already horribly outdated. And lately I've seen a lot of YouTubers work with this chart that you see in front of you to create a list of their favorite Pokemon. So I thought, you know what, why not give it a try too, given that, my previous attempt was kind of shallow in comparison to this massive chart. So what up YouTube, it's Luca and welcome back to another Pokemon related video. In this video I'm gonna be taking on this massive chart right here, where you can rank all of your favorite Pokemon from each type in each generation. And plus we have some bonus categories, such as gimmick forms, starters, legendaries. And you also have a bunch of subcategories over here that I may or may not fill in. But yeah, this is a site basically where you can create a chart like this also for yourself. I'm sure I can also magically make the link appear on screen. So yeah, just type that in on your internet browser and it will hopefully bring you to this page where you can create this chart for yourself. But you probably clicked on this video to see me making this chart. So a little background of myself in relation to Pokemon. I've only really played one generation of Pokemon, and that was Generation 5. The only Pokemon game I've really played was Pokemon White on my DS, back when, I don't know, that was current. Yeah, I've also kind of played Generation 4, but that was a randomizer on an emulator of Pokemon Platinum. So, that doesn't really count as playing the game. I'm sure Nintendo would agree with that statement. Yeah, but where I've got the largest experience with Pokemon is in the competitive scene. So I started playing on Pokemon Showdown, like random battles and mostly National Dex. That's probably my favorite tier, just National Dex OU. Yeah, I started playing that in Generation 8, around the middle of Generation 8. And I've been continuing that in Generation 9. If you're interested in watching me battle, I'll put a link to the playlist on the top right, approximately right now as well. So yeah, I don't really have an emotional attachment to many Pokemon because I've never really played much of the games. So this should be interesting. But yeah, I've already been talking for way too long. So let's get this started, shall we? Alright, we have a very long list ahead of us. So let's just start with my favorite normal type in Gen 1. So let's see, what are the options that we have? Alright, none of these really stand out too much to me. I guess Ditto is pretty nice, Snorlax as well. Yeah, you know what, if I had to choose any of these, I think it'd probably be Ditto. It's just such a unique Pokemon. Nothing really does what it does. And I don't know, I kind of like him for it. Alright, so I don't know if I should do this by generation or by typing. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers do it by typing. So I guess that's the route I'm gonna take as well. So let's move on to Gen 2 normal types. And let's see. I mean, I guess I like Furret. I also kinda like Smeargle from a design standpoint. I think I will choose Furret in the end, mostly because of its design, just how cute it is. I mean, nothing else. here really speaks to me on that front. So let's move on to Gen 3. Ooh, this is where things get a little more interesting. Okay, so I think the two big players here for me are gonna be Linoon and Exploud. I think I'll choose Exploud. I believe I once made a team in like Generation 8 with Choice Specs Boomburst Exploud, which is kind of the entire thing that it is known for in competitive. And I really liked how that played. You know, it's a very strong wall breaker. And I think this design is also pretty interesting. So yeah, let's move on to Gen 4. Okay, so we have some interesting picks over here. I mean, I like Arceus. But you know, we have to choose the god. B-Barrel. I love the meme of B-Barrel just being the strongest Pokemon in existence. He's just holding himself back to not break the game too much. Anyway, we have a lot of normal types in Gen 5. And this is, you know, where some of my personal attachment may come through. I mean, I never really cared much for these Pokemon. I guess I like... Meluetta is pretty cool. Yeah, I never really paid much attention to any of the normal types when I was playing the game myself. But I like Meluetta, you know. Out of these things, Meluetta's got the best design, at least in my opinion. So yeah, we have Gen 6. Here we also have the Megas, which is pretty nice, but you know, it's a pretty small selection if you don't count all the Furfrou forms. And you know, I'm not gonna pick a Furfrou form. I'm not really a big Furfrou fan. I didn't even know it existed until, you know, I saw all of these costumes in front of me. But yeah, I don't really know what to choose here. I guess Pyroar is pretty cool. I don't really want to choose any of the Megas because I don't really care much for Pidgeot and Kangaskhan. And I always hate fighting against Mega Lopunny, so I'm not really going to choose that one. And Mega Audino is also kind of just whatever. And you know, same with most of the Gen 6 normal types that, you know, aren't Megas. I don't really care for them. Pyroar I think is the most interesting for me personally. But yeah, Gen 7. Also not a great selection, I think. I mean, Type Null and Silvally are pretty cool. I was kind of thinking Silvally might appear in like every type in Gen 7, you know, because it can become every type. I think Komala is interesting because of its like unique ability and the fact that it can run like Sleep Talk Last Resort. It's kind of an interesting niche that I recently learned about, and it kind of makes me want to try it. But overall, I think I'm going to choose Silvally, just because, you know, it can transform into any type. It's like a man-made Pokemon. We don't have a lot of those. We have like Mewtwo, Genesect, and then Silvally. Those are like the only three I can think of that were like made by humans. And it's always such an interesting concept. So yeah, I'm going to choose him. Now for the normal types in Gen 8. I've always liked Wooloo. I don't know why. It's just a sheep, and that is so funny to me. I've kind of been memeing about this guy to my friends ever since it came out. And then Gen 9. I don't really have much experience, or as much experience with these Pokemon. I think I'm gonna choose Mousehold, just because it is so interesting. You know, because it has like Population Bomb, a move that, you know, is similar to Triple Axel from gens past, but on a level that we have never seen before. I'm actually probably gonna release this video at the same time as when I'm doing a Pokemon Showdown stream next week from when I'm recording it. And I'm gonna showcase a Mousehold team that I think is really innovative. Maybe not as good, but I think I burned down the kitchen, as they say in the community. So yeah, once you're done watching this video, go watch the stream. Cross promotion for the win. So yeah, let's go back to Gen 1 with the fire types. And I mean, we have a pretty decent selection here. These Pokemon like Charizard, Ninetales, Arcanine, and Moltres Those are all cool in my opinion. I think I'm still gonna choose Charizard though. I mean, just because of the fact that I think he just looks the coolest. So yeah, onto Gen 2. We have a decent selection. Yeah, I don't really feel much for any of these Pokemon. I think Entei and Ho-Oh are pretty cool. So is Houndoom. But I think it's probably gonna go to Entei in this regard. Because, I don't know, it's just a simple design that still manages to look cool. So yeah, Gen 3 fire types. We have a whopping 4 fully evolved Pokemon. I mean, I guess Torkoal is pretty good as like a Sunsetter in later generations. And yeah, I mean, Blaziken is pretty cool, but I don't know, it never really did much for me. So I think I'm gonna choose Torkoal. So Gen 4, oh god, we again have 4 fully evolved Pokemon. I think Infernape is pretty good. I actually used it a little bit during that randomized Platinum run that I keep mentioning. But I also like Heatran. I think I'm probably gonna choose Heatran based on the fact that I think they're about as cool, but Heatran is better in competitive modes. So Gen 5, oh god, this is where we're gonna have to make some pretty harsh decisions. I think Victini, I love Victini. I also love Darmanitan. I adore Chandelure. I think Volcarona is cool. And I also like Reshiram. So I'm gonna have to pick one. Actually, I don't think it's a choice between 5 Pokemon. I think it's just a choice between 4. Because I'm just gonna go ahead and... oh wait, where's Ghost? Oh, here's Ghost. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and fill Chandelure into the Ghost type. So yeah, now it's just a battle between 4. So, and I think I'm probably gonna go with Volcarona. Just because I love both its design and how good it is in competitive. I mean, the others also have pretty good design. But traditionally they haven't been as good in competitive. Except Reshiram, which is technically tiered higher than Volcarona. Well, not anymore in Gen 9. But, you know, yeah. Alright, Gen 6 fire types. We also have a lot of great guys over here. I think I've always been kind of interested in Volcanion. I think fire water, that's probably... Is that unique to Volcanion? I believe it is. I think it's a pretty cool type combination. And overall, this guy is pretty versatile in competitive Pokemon. It can use Choice Specs, Assault Vest. I've run a lot on like Hail teams and such, that's where it's usually run. And yeah, I think this guy has a lot of potential. So yeah, let's go to Gen 7. So we have a few interesting guys over here. I don't think it's going to be very close though, because the only one here that I really do like is Blacephalon. I really like how this guy looks, I like how weird it is. And I also like that it is Fire Ghost, just like Chandelure. These guys are kind of equally loved by me. So yeah. So Gen 8, we have some pretty decent guys. I mean, I guess I'm probably gonna go with Cinderace or the Zen mode of Galarian Darmanitan. Now I think I'm just gonna go with Cinderace. It's also pretty versatile. It's can do a lot of things. And I think its design is fine, nothing spectacular. But I don't really see many other potential picks in this list. Right, and then in Gen 9, this might be a pretty tough selection. I liked Chi-Yu for the short time it was allowed in the tier. I also like Cerulege. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Cerulege. It's so cool, and once again, Fire Ghost, That's kind of like my favorite typing, probably, Fire Ghost, because I don't know why, but every Pokemon that has Fire Ghost just manages to look sick. Unless there's one that I forgot about that looks really bad. Alright, let's go back to Gen 1 with the water type. Jesus Christ, there's a lot. Let's see, I think I'm probably just gonna pick Gyarados. I like how it looks. It's got like a sea dragon. And it's also pretty good in competitive. Especially in its Mega form, which is probably down in Gen 6. This is Gen 7. Yeah, it's down here. Anyway, Gen 2, we have some guys. I love Quagsire. I just love his derpy face. We have Gen 3. We have a lot of water types, obviously. You know, there's too much water here. I don't know. I've always liked Sharpedo, actually. I think I'm gonna choose him. I really like how he just plays. Obviously, he got speed boost in later gens, which, you know, made him kind of insanely unique. And I kind of love it that this guy gets, you know, speed boost, and he also gets a Mega Evolution. And then Gen 4, I love using Rotom Wash in competitive. I just love how it plays. It's always like a reliable defensive backbone to any team, and that's why, you know, I end up using it a lot on all my teams. And I also like how it looks. Its design is pretty cool. Right, Gen 5 water types. Yeah, I don't know why, but I've always liked Seismitoad. I don't know why. Its design is nothing really special, and it's also not that great in competitive. But somehow it always finds his way. He always found his way onto my team whenever I was doing like repeat playthroughs of Pokemon White. I don't know. There's just something about him that, you know, makes me attracted to him. You know, not in that way. Get that out of your heads. Anyway, Gen 6. We have a lot of pretty decent guys here. I also like Greninja quite a bit. It's also really versatile. Yeah, you know, it kind of lost its luster in Gen 9 when its Battle Bond was nerfed, but it still has a lot of sets that it could run. Alright, Gen 7. We have, yeah, I don't really... This is not a great selection. I don't really feel much for any of these Pokemon. I guess Tapu Fini's nice, I guess. Yeah, I'll choose it, just based on the fact that there's nothing really better. I don't really want to pick Greninja twice. So yeah, Gen 8. We also have, I mean... Yeah, I like Urshifu quite a bit. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Urshifu Water. It's a pretty decent Pokemon. I also kind of like its design of like a Kung Fu fighter. But yeah, and then Gen 9, we have a lot of guys right here. I think I am going to pick Quaquaval. Yeah, I mean, he is probably... Actually, which one is the starters? This one. Quaquaval is probably my favorite Gen 9 starter, even though the other two are far better in competitive Pokemon. I don't know, I just like this guy more, probably due to its design. I like how it looks. Now let's go on to the grass types of Gen 1. I think I'm gonna choose Victory Bell, just because in my Platinum randomizer I you know, managed to call this guy alongside Groudon and just used Chlorophyll with Solar Beam and Sludge Bomb to tear through the Elite Four, which also had randomized Pokemon. I remember Cynthia had like a Whiscash, a Barboach, and just all sorts of stuff. Quad or regular, just weak to grass. So yeah, this guy kind of cleaned house, and I kind of began to appreciate him for that. Gen 2 grass types. This is not a great selection. I guess I'm gonna pick Celebi, based on the fact that there's nothing better. Alright, Gen 3, also not really much that's speaking to me. I guess I'll choose Breloom. Breloom is pretty cool. So yeah, Gen 4. I think it's probably gonna be between Tangrowth and Roserade. What kind of poison types are there in Gen 4? Yeah, I think I'm just gonna choose Roserade for the poison type, and then Tangrowth for the grass type, you know. Best of both worlds. And then Gen 5, we have a lot of grass types. I think, though, I'm gonna pick Serperior. Serperior is probably my favorite starter of all time. And, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and just fill that in immediately. Serperior is probably my favorite starter of all time. I just like how it looks. I like its entire evolutionary line, basically. And yeah, I love how unique it is in competitive Pokemon as well. It was probably the best user of Contrary before Enamorus came around in Generation 9. It's just a Pokemon that I really like. So in Gen 6 we have few grass types, not too many though. None of these Pokemon really speak to me, so I guess Mega Venusaur. Anyway, Gen 7 we have, yeah, a lot of guys. I think I'm gonna pick Kartana, or at least what kind of steel types are there? Yeah, I can pick another steel type. So Kartana is my favorite grass type. I believe I chose Kartana too as my favorite grass type back in the original video. Anyway, Gen 8 we have, decent selection. I think I'm gonna pick Hisuian Lilligant because, I've kind of grown to appreciate it after my latest stream where I used it on a Sun team. I love how it's basically got physical quiver dance, and it's the only one to get that, special quiver dance, also known as just regular quiver dance, is given to a lot of guys, but Hisuian Lilligant is the only user of Victory Dance, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, Gen 9, grass types. Also not really a selection that I have a lot to say about. I like Iron Leaves, actually. Even though I don't use it a lot, I like its design and, its synergy with electric terrain. Speaking of electric terrain, next up are electric types. So in Gen 1, I think I'm gonna pick Zapdos, just because I've always liked its design. Like electric, like lightning, is probably my favorite element. Anytime it is included in the game, I just think having, like the power over lightning is insanely cool, no matter, in which situation you apply it. I've always dreamed of having electrical superpowers. Gen 2, we have not a great selection. Yeah, I guess Ampharos is cute, and, I'll pick it just because. Gen 3, what a selection. I'll choose Manectric, based on the fact that we have nothing better. Alright, Gen 4, it's a little bit better. I've always liked Magnezone because of its, unique niche to trap steel types. And, its design is also fine. It feels like an upgrade from Magneton. So yeah, Gen 5, we have a lot of guys. I've always liked Galvantula, and I've always liked Zekrom. I think I'm gonna choose Zekrom for this slot, just so we can have the Dragon slot open for something else. So yeah, Gen 6, we have, again, not a great selection. I do like Mega Manectric. I don't think I've ever used it, but I do like, how its useful traits are expanded upon, and its design is also pretty cool. An upgrade over the original Manectric without feeling like it deviates too much. So yeah, we have Gen 7. Ooh, okay, this is gonna be tough. I really like both Zeraora and Tapu Koko. I think I'm gonna pick Zeraora for this slot. And then the fairy slot for Gen 7 is... yeah, I think I'm gonna choose Tapu Koko for that one. Alright, Gen 8, we have a pretty good. I think I'm just gonna choose Regieleki. Probably my favorite of the Regis, just because of the fact of how good it is. Also, I used it in that one video where it was still allowed in national decks, and I had a load of fun with that video, so yeah. Regieleki's brought me some fond memories, and I like its design as well. So yeah, and then we have Gen 9. We have this guy. What was this guy's name again? Raging Bolt? Or something like that? I don't know, but I really like Miraidon. I don't really play Ubers or national decks Ubers, but this guy's my favorite electric type in Gen 9, just purely based off its design. I love, like the futuristic electrical looking thing about it. Alright, Gen 1 ice types. we have a pretty small selection. I guess if I had to pick any, I'd probably pick Cloyster, just because of its interesting niches with Skill Link and Shell Smash and stuff like that. Right, Gen 2 we have... Okay, this is not a great selection. I guess I'll choose Delibird because he's funny. Alright, Gen 3, also not great. Yeah, I mean, I guess Glalie. Glalie is nice, and there's nothing better on this list. Alright, Gen 4, we have, yeah, I think it's either Mammothswine or Weavile. I guess I'll choose Weavile, just because it's, you know, cool and edgy, and it's also very good in competitive Pokemon. You know, until Xianpao came around. Alright, this is Kyurem, just base Kyurem. Probably one of my favorite legendaries of all time. I just, you know, love the way it looks for some reason. Even though, you know, Kyurem Black and Kyurem White may look cooler. Something about the original design just clicks with me. And Gen 6 Ice types are not great. I don't know, I guess I'll choose, I guess Auroras. It's pretty nice. Right, Gen 7, I'll go with Alolan Ninetales, just because it has a decent niche, and it's quite beautiful. Alright, Gen 8, we have some more options here. I'm gonna go with Galarian Darmanitan, just because it's a stronger version of, you know, a Pokemon that I already like, from Gen 5 being Darmanitan. And then Gen 9, I think I'm gonna go with Baxcalibur. I love the way it looks, I love the way it plays, and I don't know what more is there to say. So Gen 1 fighting types, I think I'm just gonna go with Machamp, you know, the old classic. Gen 2, I'm just gonna go with Heracross, not a great selection available here. Gen 3, I don't know, I'm gonna leave this one open for a little bit. I mean, Gen 4, I guess we maybe can put Infernape here. Yeah, you know what? We can put Lucario here and Infernape here. Well, Infernape still gets his spot on the roster. Gen 5. Alright, so, you know, I want to pick Girder. I chose Girder in the previous list because this is probably the one Pokemon that I do actually have an emotional attachment to, because it was the ace of my team in my first playthrough. Don't ask me why I chose Girder as the ace of my team. It just kind of happened, you know, and I was like, what, 13 years old? Maybe even younger. So yeah, weird things happened. But you know, Girder ended up being the ace of my team in my first playthrough, and I've kind of had an emotional attachment to it ever since. But you know, if we ignore emotional attachment for a little bit, I also think Terrakion is really cool. Our Gen 6 fighting types are pretty good actually, they're mostly Megas. I like Mega Medicham, I also like Mega Mewtwo. This is X, right? I think I'm gonna go with Mega Medicham. I like its design more, and you know, it's also very strong. That's kind of, you know, its whole game, that it is strong. But yeah, Gen 7, we have Buzzwole, Kommo-o. These guys are all pretty good. Pheromosa as well. Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose Kommo-o, just because I think its design is better than the others on this list. He's, you know, just a goofy guy, just like Quagsire. Alright, Gen 1 ground types. I guess out of this list, if I had to pick any, it would probably be Rhydon. Just based on the fact that he looks cool. Alright, so Gen 2, we've already picked Quagsire. And for the rest, Steelix. Steelix is pretty cool, I guess. Gen 3, we have, yeah, I guess Flygon. I guess Flygon is cool. Groudon is also pretty cool. I think I'm actually gonna choose Groudon for that list. Gen 4, okay, this is where it's gonna become difficult. Actually not, it's Gliscor. I've always, you know, adored Gliscor's design, and it's also been consistently pretty good in competitive with its Poison Heal. Alright, Gen 5 ground types. We have interesting selection. I think I'm gonna go with either one of the Landorus forms. I guess I've used Landorus Therian more, so I'm more familiar with it. So I'm gonna choose him. So Gen 6, ooh, we have a lot of good guys over here. You know what? I like Mega Garchomp. I don't care what anyone will say. Yes, it is worse than regular Garchomp in competitive, but you know, I will fight for him. I will give him his place. I've actually used it on a surprising amount of my teams over, you know, the years. So yeah, we have Gen 7. Ooh, that's absolutely gotta be Zygarde complete. I love this guy's design, and he's like so tanky. It's kind of the opposite of a traditional legendary, where it's not really strong in the sense that it'll, you know, punch your brains out, but it's just gonna survive forever, because this thing has like a massive HP stat. So yeah, Gen 8, we have not a great selection. I guess if I had to choose any of these, I'm gonna go with Ursaluna, you know, just because it's funny to sweep people under Trick Room. Gen 9, ooh, this is gonna be, I think, I'm probably gonna choose Tinglu. I like this guy's design, and it's not that great in competitive. I mean, it has its niches, but it's kind of hard to fit on teams, I feel like. But yeah, I still like him. Alright, Gen 1 flying types. We have a lot to choose from, actually. Let's see, I think I'm going to choose Sapphire. I've always liked it, even before, you know, realizing it could evolve into Scizor. And yeah, I don't know, I just like its design, mostly. Alright, we have Gen 2. I've always been kind of strangely obsessed with Xatu. I don't know, I just like its design. It's like its unique niche as a magic bouncer in older gens. Because, you know, nowadays magic bounce is pretty common. A lot of Pokemon have it, or not a lot of Pokemon, but, you know, enough that the, you know, ones with underwhelming base stats kind of fall to the wayside. But back in the day, in like Gen 5, Xatu was kind of the only magic bouncer, next to Espeon. And, you know, that kind of gave it a unique niche, and I kind of think it's a fascinating story. Alright, Gen 3. What the hell is this thing? Is this like Shadow Lugia? Wasn't that from that one game that everyone always mentions, but I can't remember right now? I think I'm gonna choose Rayquaza. You know, one of my favorite legendaries, probably. I just like its design, mostly. And I like how varied its move pool is. So yeah, Gen 4. We already picked Gliscor, so we have to choose something else. Yeah, you know what? I like Togekiss. I also like Staraptor. How's Gen 4 for fairy types? Oh, so I guess I'm gonna choose Togekiss there and Staraptor here. Once again, best of both worlds. Alright, Gen 5. We have. Right, I like Tornadus Therian. I like it as like a defogger. I like that it's called Regenerator. It's just an all-around reliable competitive Pokemon. You know, its design, I don't really know what I think about its design. I don't really like that it just becomes a goofy bird. If that is the price that had to be paid, then, you know, I'll accept it. I've come to accept it. Alright, Gen 6 has, you know, a few flying types. You know, if you discount the 16 Vivillon forms. Yeah, I like Noivern and I like Talonflame. If I had to pick one, I'll just choose Talonflame. Probably one of the best starter birds. So good, in fact, that it had to be nerfed in the next game. And then it's kind of never been the same since. For Gen 7, I'm not really familiar with any of these Pokemon outside of Celesteela. So I guess I'm going to choose that one. Right, moving swiftly along. Gen 8, we have Corviknight. Yeah, I mean, Corviknight is one of the best recent competitive Pokemon. And you know, it's kind of just like a default, a mainstay on many of my teams. And you know, its design is fine. It's not like I actively dread having to put it on my team because it's ugly, because it's not. All around great Pokemon, I feel like. And then Gen 9 we have Not a lot. I'm not really familiar with any of these Pokemon. I guess I'll just choose Flamigo, because he's funny. Alright, Gen 1 Psychic types. Yeah, I like Alakazam too, but I like Mewtwo more. Gen 2 we have the entire unknown alphabet. I've already kind of covered a lot of these Pokemon. I like Slowking as well. You know, next to its Galarian counterpart, I think Slowking, regular Slowking, is also a fine Pokemon, both in terms of design and competitive use. You know, Galarian Slowking I do like more, but you know, given that the competition isn't really stacked, Galarian Slowking can take its place here. Now Gen 3, we have a lot of options here. I like Metagross, I also like the Deoxys forms. I think I'm gonna choose Deoxys Attack, just because, you know, that's the most impressive version to me, both in terms of design and, you know, the fact that it has one of the highest attack stats in the entire game. Probably the highest. No, wait, I think it's probably the second highest behind Mega Mewtwo X. This is Gen 4, and not a great selection. I don't really care for any of these Pokemon. I guess Gallade is pretty cool. Alright, Gen 5. I love Reuniclus, so no questions asked there. Gen 6. I do kind of want to see how the dark types in Gen 6. Yeah, I'm gonna choose Yveltal for dark type, and then I can choose Hoopa Unbound for the psychic type. Hoopa Unbound is also one of my favorite legendaries, just because, you know, its design is so amazing. I feel like so intricate. And as for Yveltal in the dark type slot, it's not one of my favorite legendaries, but I do like how it looks, with its like dark aura and the fact that it glows red when it like does stuff. I really like that detail about it. Alright, Gen 7, we have the Necrozma forms, and, you know, the two legendaries. Yeah, it's probably gonna be one of the Necrozma forms. Duskmane is the one that I have the most experience with, so I guess I'm gonna choose him. Alright, Gen 8 Psychic types, I've already chosen Galarian Slowking. Guess I'm probably gonna pick Calyrex Shadow, just because it's so absurdly strong. I like it. How are the ghost types in Gen 8? Oh yeah, I can probably choose something else for the ghost type slot. So we have Gen 9. Also not a great selection. I feel like we've already used Iron Leaves. So I guess the next best thing is probably Armarouge. I mean, I think Ceruledge is way cooler, but Armarouge is, you know, not that bad in its own right. I think, you know, just aesthetically, Armor Cannon is a better signature move than Bitter Blade. You know, just throwing that out there. Alright, Gen 1 Bug types. We've already used Cypher, so we can choose him. So I guess I'm gonna go with Pinsir. Yeah, it's pretty imposing. Its Mega is pretty good as well, both in terms of, you know, competitive use and design. So yeah, Gen 2, I really like Scizor. We've already had Heracross, but Scizor is also probably one of my favorite Pokemon. Alright, Gen 3, not a great selection. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna choose Masquerain or Shedinja. I guess I'm gonna choose Shedinja, just because it's so unique and so special, you know, within the universe. Gen 4, also not a great selection. If I had to pick one of these, I'd probably pick Yanmega, because it looks the coolest. Gen 5, we've already had Volcarona, we've already had Scolipede. That leaves us with not that many. I guess I'm going to choose Genesect. You know, like I said, man-made Pokemon. You know, all three that I can think of are here. So we have Mewtwo, Genesect and Silvally. So yeah, Gen 6 we have mostly just Megas and then Vivillon. So, I mean, I guess Vivillon is a pretty beautiful Pokemon. But am I going to choose it? I'm just going to choose Mega Scizor. Just because it's probably my most used Mega. I love how reliable it is. And its design is also pretty sick. So yeah, we have Gen 7. It's probably gonna be either Boswell or Pheromosa. Out of the two, I think I have, more experience with Boswell. And it's pretty good, I feel like. Alright, Gen 8. I don't really have much experience with any of these Pokemon. So I guess I'm gonna use Cleavor. And then Gen 9, we have not a great selection either. I guess Low Kicks. I was originally gonna make a video with Low Kicks. But I don't know, it just never came to be. But it is a pretty cool Pokemon. The first physical tinted lens user, I do believe. And yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, Gen 1 rock types. I've already used Rhydon. And beyond that, there isn't much that intrigues me. So I guess I'm gonna choose Aerodactyl. Just because there's nothing better. Alright, Gen 2. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Tyranitar. Yeah. That's just, kind of what it is. If you see all of these guys, you just have to pick Tyranitar. Because none of these guys are really cool, except for Tyranitar. Right, Gen 3. Also not a great selection. I think Lileep is like this is Credilly. I think Credilly is a little bit underrated. So, yeah. I guess I'll pick him. Eggron is also pretty cool. But I don't know, I've personally never really got much with it. Alright, Gen 4. I love Rampardos, man. He was my starter in the randomized platinum run. And I know he's bad in pretty much everything associated with competitive, but I don't care. I like his design, and I like how he plays in single player. Where you can just mow down everything. Because you're over-leveled and can outspeed him, even though his speed set is kind of mid. Anyway, Gen 5, rock types. I'm probably gonna pick Archeops. We've already chosen Terrakion, and none of the other guys here really do much for me. I've always liked Archeops, purely because of its aesthetics. Because, it's obviously got its horrible ability. Alright, Gen 6, rock types. I think this is probably an easy win for Mega Diancie. Probably my second most used Mega. And it's also pretty reliable, and I absolutely love its design. With all the gemstones and stuff like that. Alright, Gen 7. I mean, not a great selection. Out of all of them, I think Lycanroc Midnight looks the coolest. Right, we have Gen 8. Once again, not a selection of Pokemon that do much for me. I guess Hisuian Arcanine is pretty cool. Yeah, I'll throw him on. And then Gen 9. I actually weirdly like Iron Thorns ever since I did that one video with him and Regieleki. I think this Pokemon is a little bit underrated. Yes, it's obviously got that horrible 4x weakness to ground. But with Terrestrialization, it's not that bad, even though you're kind of forced to Terra with this thing to make it escape its ground weakness. What a lovely selection of Gen 1 ghost types. I'm just gonna pick Gengar. Oh, what an even more lovely selection of Gen 2 ghost types. Yeah, after a lot of thinking, I think I'm gonna pick Misdreavus. Alright, Gen 3 has a bit more. I already picked Shedinja, which is a shame, because, none of these guys really do much for me. I guess Sableye can be interesting sometimes. Alright, Gen 4, this is where we get into the real deal. I think Spiritomb is kind of cool. I also think Giratina is pretty cool. What about the dark types? Ooh. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Spiritomb here. Yeah, and then Gen 5 we already picked out way beforehand. Gen 6, some interesting things here. I think I'm gonna pick Aegislash. I like him. He's pretty cool. The fact that he can switch stances like that. Gen 7, I mean, not a great selection. Most of these Pokemon have already lost in a previous, in a previous battle of their type. So yeah, that's something we're gonna encounter as we get to the later parts of the this chart, where we're gonna have to stack the losers of previous categories up against each other. You know, I think I'm just gonna pick Marshadow. I think he's pretty cool. For Gen 8, I kind of want to pick Dragapult, but I also want to go strangely offbeat and pick Cursula. Or I guess Hisuian Zoroark is also here. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Hisuian Zoroark. You know, I love that Zoroark in some form or another is finally good. Golden Go is pretty cool. We've already picked most of these guys. I do like Annihilate. Yeah, I'm kind of stumped on this one. Because like, I like Skeledirge. Skeledirge is okay. Annihilate is also pretty good. Fluttermane is pretty good. Golden Go is also pretty good. I guess I'm gonna go with Annihilate probably because of how strong it is. Alright, so we're already pretty far into this chart. So I think I'm gonna take a break, get some sleep, and then I'll be back to finish it next time. Okay, I'm back again. And next up we have a pretty exciting category, Dragon types, which, you know, in my opinion are some of the coolest looking Pokemon in each generation. So obviously in Gen 1 we didn't really have a lot, so I'm gonna pick Dragonite. In Gen 2 we once again have a really strong selection. So we'll choose Kingdra, put him next to Misdreavus. So Gen 3, we have a lot more options. I already have Rayquaza somewhere else, so it's gonna go between these four. I think I'm gonna choose Salamence, because, I don't know, because he's cool. Then in Gen 4, I think I'm gonna pick Giratina Origin. I think he's also very cool. Then Gen 5, we've already had Kyurem and Zekrom, so that leaves a spot open for Hydreigon. You know, we also have the Dark types, but in Gen 5, Dark types are pretty cool in Gen 5. So yeah, I feel comfortable putting Hydreigon here. So Gen 6, we have a lot of different guys. I don't know which one to choose. We already picked Mega Garchomp. So from the remaining, I do like Mega Charizard X actually. I think he's way cooler than Mega Charizard Y. So unfortunately, he's not as good in competitive. Charizard Y definitely sees more usage. In Gen 7, we've already had Zygarde complete. I think I'm going to choose Naganadel. I think he's also very cool. Then Gen 8, I think I'm gonna pick, I like to pick Dragapult, but I think Enamorus, or, no wait, this is Eternatus. I think Eternatus looks really sick, so yeah, I'm gonna pick him. I think his design is actually insane. I love it. Anyway, then Gen 9, Dragon types. We already picked Baxcalibur and Miraidon, and for the rest of them don't really do that much for me. So I guess I'm gonna pick Cyclizar. Alright, moving on to Dark types. What the hell are these? There are no Dark types in Gen 1. So instead they've been replaced with these. Are these like the glitched Pokemon that you can obtain in like the first generation? I'm gonna pick this one. Alright, in Gen 2 we already picked Tyranitar, so I guess I'm gonna pick Houndoom for the Dark type slot. Gen 3 I've already picked Sharpedo, so I guess I'm gonna pick Absol. I've always been a fan of Absol's design, not like a mega fan, but I recognize that it's a pretty cool Pokemon. So Gen 4, this has to be Darkrai. I love Darkrai, even though I, you know, don't really play Ubers. I still love it purely because of its design. I think it looks amazing. And you know, it's like the master of nightmares. It's just such a cool Pokemon. Alright, Gen 5. And we have a bunch of Dark types. I think I'm gonna pick either Bisharp or Zoroark. I think I'm gonna pick Bisharp. I think Bisharp is cooler. Alright, Gen 6 we've already had Yveltal. So Gen 7 we have not that great of a selection. I already picked Alolan Muk. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pick Ash Greninja. You know, I said I wasn't gonna pick Ash Greninja for Gen 7, the water type, but you know, this selection doesn't really do much for me outside of it. Alright, Gen 8 we have a lot of dark types. I think my favorite one of Gen 8 is actually Galarian Moltres. I love how it plays and I also love its design. I think its design is very cool. It kind of reminds me of Yveltal in that way. But yeah, Gen 9 dark types is an easy one for King Gambit. Both Bishop and King Gambit we have on here. I love King Gambit. It's a shame that it got banned in my favorite tier, being National Dex. Right, now on to Steel types. We once again have a wonderful selection. I'm gonna choose Magneton for Gen 1. Gen 2 we've already had Scizor and Steelix, so that leaves Fortress and Skarmory. I guess I'm gonna pick Skarmory. So Gen 3 we have also some interesting picks. I think I might choose Metagross. Yeah, I'm just gonna choose Metagross. Gen 4 we already have Lucario, so on to Gen 5. I think this is probably an easy win for Ferrothorn. I mean, I love Ferrothorn, both how good it is in competitive and has been throughout all of its years. And I think its design is also pretty interesting. It's based on like a durian fruit, which is kind of interesting, but it's like steel. So yeah, Gen 6, we have a bunch of Megas. We've already picked Aegislash, so I guess I'm gonna probably pick Mega Lucario. I think I've always thought Mega Lucario was insanely cool. You know, it got banned in Gen 6, and it's still banned actually in National Dex. So yeah, this thing's really strong and I love it. Alright, Gen 7, we've already had Kartana, so I think in this regard I'm probably gonna pick Magearna, given that the fairy spot is also already occupied. Gen 8, we've already picked Corvic Knight, so I'm gonna have to pick someone else. I guess I'm gonna pick Hisui and Goodra. I used it in my latest live stream with like an Assault Vest set, and I kinda like how it plays, of just being a massive special defense wall that can also attack. And then Gen 8 we have also an interesting selection. A lot of people like Tinkaton, but I don't know, it doesn't really stand out to me. So I guess in this regard I'm gonna pick Golden Go. So yeah, fairy types. We do have some in Gen 1. I like Clefable. I think it's just fine. In Gen 2 I like Azumarill. It's also a Pokemon that, you know, I hold in high regard. Gen 3 we don't have a great selection. It's either Gardevoir probably or Mawile. And out of the two, I don't really know which one I like more. I guess I'm probably gonna go with Mawile. I think that one looks cooler than Gardevoir. Gen 5 we have a wonderful selection of, just Whimsicott. And Gen 6 we have a bunch of things. I've already picked DNC. I do agree that Xerneas is pretty cool. You know, even though it's one of the most hated competitive Pokemon ever, probably, because of its Geomancy Power Herb stuff. But I do agree, its design is pretty fantastic. It's a nice Pokemon to look at, while it destroys you and your entire family. Alright, Gen 7 we already have Tapu Koko, so onto Gen 8. I actually kind of like Enamorus, the regular Enamorus. I wasn't a huge fan of it when, you know, it made its first appearance. But ever since it's become available in competitive, it's kind of grown on me. And then lastly, Gen 9 fairy types. Once again, difficult selection. I think I'm going to choose Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant is pretty cool, and you know, it's one of the best competitive Pokemon around right now. And its design is also pretty nice, like a robotic fusion of Gardevoir and Glade. So those were all of the typings, but we do have some extra categories that I also want to go through. You know, we want to complete this chart. So I'm going to go through all of those first, before I have to make the hard decisions on which Pokemon is the best of every type. So yeah, let's get started. So first we have our favorite starter from each generation. So for Gen 1, it's gonna be Charizard. I think, yeah, the other two never have really done much for me. Gen 2, this is probably the line of starters that I have the least experience with. So I don't really know who to pick. I guess Feraligatr is pretty cool. So Gen 3, I know I picked Blaziken with the fighting type slot, but I actually kind of like Swampert. Gen 4's Infernape, I like him a lot, and the other two don't really do much for me. Superior is the best starter Pokemon, or at least my favorite. So Gen 6, we have Greninja. Gen 7, this is also a line that doesn't really do much for me, but I guess if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Decidueye. And then Gen 8, we also have the Hisuian forms. Yeah, I do think Hisuian Samurott is pretty cool. I think I'm still gonna pick Cinderace in the end. So those were all the starter Pokemon. Now we have a category for gimmick forms, which is basically mega forms, Gigantamax forms, and just regional variants. So yeah, let's start in Gen 1. This is mostly megas and just Gigantamax forms. So which one of these do I like the best? This is going to be a tough decision. I'm definitely leaning more towards megas as opposed to Gigantamax forms, because I've never really experienced them. So yeah, which mega do I like the most? Mega Mewtwo Y, I think is pretty sick, but so is Mega Charizard X. So I think I'm still gonna pick Mega Mewtwo Y. I think it has a really cool design and it's one of the most powerful Pokemon ever created. Gen 2, I feel like this is pretty convincingly Mega Scizor. A personal favorite of mine. Right, Gen 3, you have a lot of interesting guys, all Mega Evolutions. So I do think the Primals are pretty good Pokemon, and Mega Rayquaza. Yeah, I'm probably gonna pick Mega Rayquaza. I think its design is absolutely sick, and it was the first Pokemon to be too strong even for other legendaries. So that was pretty cool. For this one, I think I'm probably gonna pick Mega Lucario or Mega Garchomp. I think Mega Lucario edges it out. So Gen 5 we have a wonderful selection of the Pure Fairy, Audino, and just the pile of sludge that is Gigantamax Garbodor. So out of the two, I do still like Audino more. So Gen 6, Gen 6 also has all of the megas that were introduced. Yeah, you know what, just to keep it confined to Gen 6, I'm gonna pick Mega DNC, also one of my favorite megas. So yeah, Gen 7, we have a lot of regional forms. Yeah, I don't know, I think I'm probably gonna pick Alolan Ninetales. That's, yeah, all of the other ones don't really do much for me. I mean, Ultra Necrozma's cool, I've kind of been ignoring it this entire ranking. But I do agree, it's cool. But I don't know, it's just so exclusive that it doesn't really feel right picking it. So yeah, Gen 8, we have all of the Gigantamax forms and the Hisuian Pokemon as well. So it's gonna be tough. You know what, I think the winner is probably Eternatus. Literally the most powerful Pokemon ever created. It has like base 250 stats, which is, unheard of. And that's why you can't use it in a regular Pokemon. I also like that it is just this gigantic behemoth that looms over you. Yeah, I think it's nice. And then Gen 9, we have not a great selection. I guess if I had to choose anything, I'd probably choose the Fire Tauros. Right, and then we have the legendaries of each of the generations. So let's start off with Gen 1. This is going to be Mewtwo. Mewtwo is actually one of my favorite legendaries, despite being one of the oldest. Gen 2, I don't really feel much for any of these guys. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Entei. But yeah, Gen 3, this is probably Rayquaza. Also one of my favorite legendaries. Gen 4, I do like Darkrai. I also like Arceus. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick Darkrai. Gen 5 is base Kyurem. I've already had that talk. Gen 6 is actually probably... Yeah, I think I really like Hoopa Unbound. Yeah, I think he... Like I said before, I think he looks sick. So, Gen 7, we have a bunch of guys. I do think... Yeah, I think Zygarde Complete is probably best looking out of them all, I think. Gen 8, yeah, I think it's gonna be between either Zamazenta, Hero, or Galarian Moltres. I guess Regieleki is there too. This is a difficult one. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Regieleki. But that was a tough choice, you know. Either Galarian Moltres or Zamazenta probably could have taken that spot. And then finally, Gen 9. I think this is pretty convincingly Miraidon, for me personally. Okay, so before we pick our favorites, there's some optional categories down here, kind of like bonus rounds. So I figured, why not fill this one in as well? So, you know, it's not that many. So let's speedrun through this. So favorite regional birth, first up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of experience with any of these outside of Pidove. So I kind of want to pick Pidove, just because. Yeah, let's do it. So favorite regional mammal. Oh, these are like the early game normal types. I think I'm probably going to pick Pidove. I like Zigzagoon as well. Favorite regional bug. I don't know. I kind of have this weird obsession with Wurmple, just because he's so funny. I don't know why, but yeah. Favorite pseudo-legendary. Okay, this one's gonna be really difficult. No, actually it's not. I'm just gonna pick my favorite one, Baxcalibur. No, Hydreigon used to be my favorite, but then Baxcalibur came along to dethrone it. Favorite Pikachu clone, that's probably gonna be Pawmot. I like him. Favorite evolution. This is actually a topic that I haven't really ever thought about. Which one's my favorite? I don't know. I like both Jolteon. I like Jolteon, Glaceon and Sylveon in particular. I think I'm probably gonna pick Glaceon for now. Favorite fossil? That's Rampardos, no question asked. Favorite regional form? Ooh, that one's probably gonna go to Galarian Moltres. Yeah. Favorite Gigantamax? That's Eternatus. Favorite baby? I don't know. I guess Pichu is nice. Favorite box legendary? We have Kyurem is not here, so we're gonna have to pick someone else. Probably gonna be either Zekrom or Miraidon, which is quite funny because they share a typing. I think Zekrom is still my favorite just because of nostalgia. Favorite mythical? Ooh, this is a tough decision. I think it's between Darkrai, Genesect and Hoopa Unbound. Yeah, I think ultimately I still gotta give the win to Darkrai. Favorite Ultra Beast? I think that's pretty convincingly Kartana for me. Favorite Paradox Pokémon? Yeah, like I said before, I like Iron Valiant. But I guess Miraidon counts as well, so I'm gonna pick him. Favorite typing? Huh. This is a really difficult one. I've never thought about which type is my favorite. Yeah, I'm gonna leave that one open, probably until the end of the video. Favorite Pokeball? Ooh. Okay, I don't really know anything about the latter Pokeballs. You know, I've only played Gen 5, so any Pokeball that was introduced after that, I'm kind of struck on. I like the Dusk Ball, I like its design. Favorite Spinda? I didn't know you could just create a Spinda. I guess we randomize it. There we go, that's my favorite Spinda. Moving on. Favorite Vivillon form? Ooh, that's gotta be the Pokeball. I like that one. Favorite Alcremie? I don't know. I mean, I like purple, so I guess this one. Oh, and you can also choose the thing. Oh, I like this one with the blue eyes. Favorite new evolution? I think, yeah, looking at all of these, that's probably King Gambit. Yeah, I think I love that thing. Alright, but now come the truly egregious choices. So we've made this chart, but you know, one thing is still left to be determined. Which Pokemon is my absolute favorite, you know, by process of elimination. So we're gonna have to pick of these, you know, final contestants. We're gonna have to pick my favorite Pokemon from per type and per region, which will eventually culminate in me picking my favorite Pokemon overall. But now we have the tough choice of needing to pick my favorite Pokemon out of them all. You know, how many are on here? 27, I think. All of these 27 Pokemon, I love them. I hold very dear to my heart. And this is going to be probably the most difficult choice of the video. And I don't know. All of these Pokemon, they're looking at me, looking straight at me, begging me to choose them. But you know what? I think I've made up my mind. My favorite Pokemon of all time. I think I feel relatively comfortable picking this Pokemon for the time being. It's gonna be Chandelure. I don't know why. Its design is great. It's very strong, like insanely strong even. I didn't even use it, I think, in my, you know, first playthrough of Pokemon White. You know, but I don't know. Once I saw it, what it could do and how it looked, it all just clicked. You know, and I've been emotionally attached to it ever since. I don't think I've ever used it in competitive, just because it's kind of subpar. But it's in my heart, I know that he is still my favorite. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. And this is where we'll end. Oh, I still have to choose a favorite type. Yeah, I think, you know, after ranking all my favorites, I think my favorite type is going to be either Ghost or Electric. And I don't know which one. I think across all of the generations, Electric have the more consistently great Pokemon, both in terms of design and you know, strength. So I think I'm gonna pick Electric. So there you have it, guys. All of my favorite Pokemon per type and per gen. Yeah, I had to make some pretty difficult choices here, and I already know that the moment I'm gonna hit upload on this video, I will have already changed my mind on some of these choices. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this list. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video and want to show that support, make sure you do, either by liking, commenting, subscribing. I don't care what you do. You know, if you want to make use of this site yourself to fill in your own chart, then tell me what you ended up with as your favorite Pokemon. And yeah, this was a pretty fun video to make. And I hope to see you all in a good mood in the next video. I'm gonna go now. Goodbye everyone.